Uh, as we speak today, on Tuesday, the government of Uganda arrested Nicholas Opio. They grabbed him from a restaurant in Kamocha area where he was having a meal with his other counterparts, other four lawyers. So they bundled him up. The men were in plain clothes and they whisked and took him away. As we speak right now, it is said that they have charges on him of money laundering. And they say that he received money on his account that amounts to 340,000 US dollars. Now, Nicholas Opio is a renowned lawyer both in Uganda as well as internationally, and is a man of high credibility. Uh, Whenever Honorable Chaguranyi, during the Alua fracas, when an attempt was made on his life, the people who came out first to get the real story and also to have legal representation for Chagulanyi, it was Nicholas Opio, that particular lawyer. There's a singer here known as Irene Namubiru. I think she had a case with the Chinese government or a drug case and stuff of that kind. One of the people that helped Irene Namubiru in her case was Nicholas Opio. Nicholas Opio has received different international recognitions here and there for his work in defending human rights, democracy, and things of that sort. In the case of Fred Muema versus TVO, the case where Muema wanted TVO to be revealed, his identity to be revealed by the state, by Facebook, and also to give them a location where TVO was broadcasting from. Nicholas Opio is one of the people who stood up for TVO and so on and so forth. So you see that actually not only TVO but also Nicholas Opio is one of the people who stood to provide legal services to Ugandans who had been in the LRA war, who were fighting on behalf of Kony, but later, when they sought amnesty and some that were captured, Nicholas Opio is one of the people who provided legal services to such kind of people who had left the LRA. So he has done a lot of work in legal representation and fighting for the democracy and people in one way or the other. A few weeks back, the government of Uganda closed down two NGOs. One is called NGO Forum, and the other one is called, I think, Uganda Women's Network. They said that these NGOs actually had money on their accounts that they were intending to use for terrorism. So all of a sudden they are charging these people with terrorism. NGOs are being charged with terrorism. In the ensuing panic, the government, of course, froze the accounts of these NGOs. It also banned journalists and so on and so forth. Nicholas Opio is one of the people who was representing these two NGOs. On November 18th and 19th, when people were being killed, Nicholas Opio started his work there and then to get the facts right and get the number of people who were affected by this violence. Opio is one of the people who made research and get a great number of people. I remember seeing a TV program on UBC where he said that there are so many bodies in mortuaries across the country where people have not even been, bodies that have not been claimed as we speak today. That's Nicholas Opio for today. On Twitter, if you go through his tweets, I think his tweets are some of the things he tweets about. Of course, they get a lot of attention because he has 90,000 followers and is one of those credible lawyers that we have in the country. And the work he has done, it has got him international recognition as well as both local and international recognition. Of course, he's a strong critic of the government on how it handles opposition politicians, and that is why you see so many people have actually come out to condemn the arrest of Nicholas Opio. Nicholas Opio Uh, of course, he's one of those people that whenever I was reading through his tweets, he raised a serious question about the arrest of Muslims in the country. That why is it that every suspect is a Muslim, a Muslim, a Muslim? So he said that there is either something wrong in the religion or there is something wrong that the government is hiding away from us. And to this day, we haven't gotten answers. So you see, he has been a person of high credibility. If you have such kind of credibility, of course, government of Uganda doesn't like credible people. That is why you see people like Sam Kutesa are in our government. They're the ones serving. People like Mike Mukura are the ones serving. Yeah, so-called people like the Amelia Chamberlains of this world, they're the people serving them Muhoozis. That is what Museveni wants. Museveni doesn't want straight up people, credible people. He doesn't want that. So they trumped up charges on this lawyer, and they said that he was laundering money. But the truth of the matter is, a couple of days before he was arrested, number one, Ugandan government had written to Google to close down 14 YouTube channels as well as Facebook, and saying that these channels were, or they might incite violence, and were responsible for the violence that happened on November 18th. Nicholas Opio came out and blasted the government of Uganda and said that these allegations, number one, they are baseless and they are only meant to curtail freedom of speech and expression, and they are unacceptable. Because Opio is very credible and he has a lot of connections internationally, he tweeted and told the government of Uganda, in fact, I'm going to write to Google and Facebook and tell them that you people have no credibility, and I tell them the real intentions of your letter that you had written to close down these channels. These channels since then have been hacked. The government of Uganda has refused to go to court, and so on and so forth. Besides all that, when Bobby Wine tweeted about the arrest of Nicholas Opio, he said Nicholas Opio had been arrested because he was investigating the murder of over 64 people that were murdered on November 18th and November 19th. And we remember very well, after the murder of all these people, the government of Uganda tried to downplay the entire incident. They tried to sweep it under the rug and confuse people. The NUP, on the other hand, they decided to look for justice and make sure that each and every one that lost their loved ones or lost their lives in that incident had to be given justice. On the side of the dictator Museveni, he said that, oh, those people, they deserved to die because they were causing chaos. Later on, the Minister of Security, Eli Tumine, said that the government has a right to kill you, as well as the police, as well as the army, and so on and so forth. What happened was different senators, especially different politicians in the United States of America, led by Representative Elliot Engel, one who sits on the House Committee for Foreign Affairs, he wrote a letter recommending Secretary Mnuchin as well as Secretary Pompeo to install Magnitsky Act on the people or the perpetrators of this violence. These included James Birungi, who was the head of the SFC, a special militia for the president, Muhoozi Sabiti, who was the deputy IGP, acting as the IGP commanding the beating and killing of these people, as well as Don Nabasa, who was ex-CMY and so on and so forth. So when the government of Uganda, when Representative Elliot recommended these sanctions, of course these people had to run away and put their tails behind their legs and ran away to be taken out of the scene of violence and fear. And Museveni made those changes according to that. But of course, there was a hand of Nicholas Opio. Nicholas Opio is one of the people who reported General Kale Kayihura on the crimes that he committed against opposition politicians and so many other things. On the other hand, he started investigating the November 18th and November 19th incident. And we know very well the government of Uganda does not know how to handle this scenario. The Kabaka of Uganda recently, I made an episode about him, how he had put the government on pressure to give us a report on what happened. Museveni said these people deserved to die, and he would only compensate those people who were not protesters that were killed. But those who were protesters, they won't be paid. The international community condemned the beating and the torture, as well as the killing of all these individuals, over 64 people that were killed. This was at the heart of Nicholas Opio's work and chapter 4, to find out who really killed these people, how many people really died, and what is the way forward. So Nicholas Opio, of course, was investigating this matter, and that is why the government of Uganda actually saw that the gentleman is doing too much damage to them internationally because of his credibility. He's a very small gentleman, very only active on Twitter, and the way he does his things, he is held in high regard and high credibility. So what do? You put on money laundering charges. Okay, if Opio was actually doing money laundering, why is it that it is only the government of Uganda that is seeing it? And some of the people are saying in government that Opio is being sponsored by outside forces. Opio doesn't need to be sponsored by outside forces. Me, I'm not sponsored by any outside force or any other Ugandan to do the work they are doing. These are just baseless allegations. So Opio, when he was arrested, the entire Twitter community erupted like a volcano, as well as the entire Uganda. You see different people. In the 2 days before, Opio had met the U.S. ambassador to Uganda, of course discussing issues of democracy and things of that sort. And then the U.S. ambassador, of course, they released the joint statement with all other donor agencies. This includes the EU countries and so on and so forth, as well as Senator Mendez in the United States of America, who has submitted a motion to see that Uganda is held accountable for what Museveni and his cronies have done. Now, as well as this gentleman, the representative on Foreign Affairs, Representative Elliot Engo, and so on and so forth. Robert Amsterdam, the one who worked with Opio on Bobby Wine's case internationally, has also recommended that the government of USA should actually put Magnitsky Act sanctions on President Museveni, as well as his son and all these other people. I've always told people here that Museveni made a very big mistake on November 18th, and he just doesn't know how to get out of it. Now, whoever tries to poke himself into that mistake, this is what is happening. But today, the government of Uganda actually tried to steal an elephant in just in a small backpack. And now it has gotten so big that they cannot fit the elephant into the backpack, and things are now just erupting out there like nothing. Now, of course, the arrest of Opio and the fact that he's going to have his Christmas behind bars in Chitalia, it gives a very bad image about our country. It gives a very bad precedent on where this country is actually heading to. It sends a statement that you have either to agree or agree with the president. There is no common ground. We cannot meet anywhere. Whatever he does is the only right thing. And that, of course, people are going to accept to live in such conditions and such a situation. So, what we do here is we call for the immediate release of Nicholas Opio. Of course, Museveni knows what he was doing. He knew that he was taking an elephant out, but he never thought that the backlash and the backfire he would get would be as big as it is today. We lost Francis Ayume in early 2000. We shouldn't lose Nicholas Opio. Francis Ayume was another legislator who actually stood in Museveni's face and told him, do not remove term limits. As Attorney General, he advised Museveni not to take out term limits. To this day, the circumstances under which Francis Ayume died, we do not know. Nicholas Opio has come out to stand and tell Museveni and his cronies that you guys, what you're doing is not right. What you're doing is not right. What you're doing to opposition candidates, it's for the future of our nation is not good. And this is not just new to Opio. Opio says that whenever I was reading about him, he says that in 1988, his father, he saw the reason as to why he came into defending the rights of people and the rights of, the justice and everything. He says that he saw his father in the LRA war in northern Uganda. He saw his pap being told to hold onto the trousers of another individual in front of him, paraded to head into Peche Stadium on the orders of General Tene Fonza, that they were supporting the LRA rebels, that his father was accused of supporting the LRA rebels. And before all this happened, his dad all his cattle that he had was all taken away from him. From that point on, that image remained in Opio's head. It remained in Opio's life. And those are some of the things that actually push him to do what he does. Because the injustice that Opio and his family have faced, they did not just start today. Just like many of us, it started a long, long, long time ago. Just like many of us, it started a very long, long, long time ago. So we hope for the immediate release of Nicholas Opio and other Ugandans that have been arrested by this country. Because you might think that people are just, you might think that you just made mistakes today or you just made these blunders today, but these things you have done to us ever since we were born, before we were even born. So now it's payback time. Thank you for listening to me, and subscribe to the channel, and I hope you enjoy the episodes that we put out. Share the information, subscribe, have a great time. Bye-bye.